Welcome to the Arlington Street Church podcast. Founded in 1729, Arlington Street continues today as a gathering place for progressive people of faith in the greater Boston area and beyond. We are located at the corner of Arlington and Boylston Streets, across from the Public Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. Please visit ascboston.org for more information about this historic Unitarian Universalist congregation. Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace.
Good morning. Welcome to Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace. Welcome to the soul of Sunday. We are Unitarian Universalists. Ours is a historic faith with a progressive theology. We affirm the worth and dignity of every person and that we are all deeply interconnected. We're bound to one another not by creed, but by covenant. And we are called to love with open minds, open hearts, and open hands. Whoever you are, those of all nations, all creeds, all colors, all kinds of love, you are welcome here.
Our minister this morning is Reverend Joanna Lubkin. Reverend Jo is deeply connected to a number of our local Unitarian Universalist communities. She serves as the halftime minister at All Souls Church in Braintree, helps out in the office at First Church in Jamaica Plain, and is a leader at the Sanctuary Boston. Jo has been a regular at Arlington Street since 2010 and is one of our affiliated community ministers. We're glad to have her with us today for this joint service with All Souls Church. Welcome to all. My name is Allie Jablonski, and I'll be serving as your worship lead today. I'm so happy that we can be here Zooming to worship together. We're doing an awesome job staying together while we're apart. Thanks again to our extraordinary tech team, Art Nava, Hala Hazar, Kem Moorhead, Rich Aubrew, and Sandy Dixon. They're making it all possible. And this week brings another huge milestone to our tech accomplishment list. Thanks to the incredible efforts of our team, this week we are doing a sort of test run for summer services. You'll notice many of our worship elements and our music pieces are pre-recorded, and the parts that I'll be doing are live. Thank you to everyone for sharing your patience and wisdom to make today's service possible and to help us get ready for a fantastic summer. If you haven't already downloaded today's order of service, there's a link in the chat, and it's also available on the homepage at ascboston.org. All of the hymn lyrics are included in the order of service and will be posted in the chat so that we can sing together. And now, please say hello in the chat as we continue our virtual greetings. Let's engage that Arlington Street spirit of welcome that transcends social distance as we greet one another heart to heart.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to be singing two hymns to start us off today. One is number 389, Gathered Here in the Mystery of the Hour. And then we're going to go right into number 356, Will You Seek in Far Off Places? And then back to the first hymn again. We'll start with Gathered Here in the Mystery of the Hour. It goes like this. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. Let's all sing that together. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. One more time. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. Now let's try Will You Seek? Will you seek in far off places? Surely you come home at last. In familiar forms and faces, things best known you find the best. Let's try that together. Will you seek? Will you seek in far off places? Surely you come home at last. In familiar forms and faces, things best known you find the best. Joy and peace are in this hour. Joy and peace are in this hour. Here, not in another place. Here in this beloved flower. Now in this beloved place. Will you seek in far off places? One more time. Will you seek in far off places? Surely you come home at last. In familiar forms and faces, things best known you find the best. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. One more time. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. Spirit, Spirit, draw near. Spirit, Spirit, draw near. One more time. Spirit, draw near.
We light our chalice this morning with words from Reverend Heather Janulis in honor of Memorial Day. Spirit of life and love, God of memory, mourning, and history, Bring before us the truths of serving in war. Bring before us, in compassion and in gratitude, those who faced violence so we may know peace. We remember these sacrifices through monuments. We remember these names carved into stone. Inscribe them on our hearts this day. Inscribe them on our conscience every day. So, like the stone that bears their names, freedom from violence may endure in our nation and around the world. So may it be.
Spirit of life. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in my hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. One more time. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in my hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
For our treasured ritual of sharing community candles of sorrow and joy. These candles were submitted at ascboston.org. If you didn't submit your candle and have one you'd like to share this morning, I invite you to type it in the chat. In addition to sharing our sorrows and joys this morning, let's reach out to one another in the week ahead, staying connected. May these times remind us of how very precious this beloved community is. Despite having to be apart, may we stay very close. And now, in the spirit of invocation, let's join in singing Sanctuary. The words are printed in your order of service and in the chat. us come today with heavy hearts. We open our hearts to you. A candle of sorrow from Dan Muho for American Red Cross executive Donna Morrissey, who died due to COVID-19 on Friday at age 51. Donna worked at the American Red Cross for 17 years as its Director of Communications for the Northeast Division. She was also the Director of National Partnership for American Red Cross Biomedical Services at the time of her death. Thank you for all of your dedication and passion to your mission. You are sorely missed and loved. A mixed candle of concern from Sandra Lingley for a family member, 19-month-old Nolan, who is recovering from heart surgery. A candle of sorrow from Michael Fisher for my husband, Kevin Tyrell, who was laid off from his job this past week after 12 years of dedicated service due to business shutdown as a result of the pandemic. Please keep us in your thoughts and prayers as we face these challenging times emotionally, psychologically, and financially. Our final candle of sorrow is a candle of sorrow from Arlington Street Church as this week approaches 100,000 lives lost to COVID-19. We mourn and pray for every life lost and every loved one left behind, knowing that one life lost is a tragedy. We send our care to all who grieve and all who will grieve, and we pray that our devastation will turn to action to fight for the safety and healing of all of our human neighbors.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be your living sanctuary for you.
Today, in joy, we share your joy. A mixed candle from Dan Muho for my 4th grade school teacher, Miss C, who retired from Michigan to San Diego, a great mentor who inspired me to travel the world. She is unfortunately in lockdown in her senior living facility now, but we've always been in touch and visit on a regular basis. Wishing you good health. Thank you for 44 years of friendship. A mixed candle from Arlington Street Church for all who are graduating, especially our members, friends, and loved ones. We send love to the places in you that are grieving the loss of physical celebrations and milestones, while we also celebrate your incredible accomplishments and pray that despite the unknown and the grief, that you feel celebrated and loved as you achieve this incredible accomplishment. We are proud of you. A candle of joy from Arlington Street Church and All Souls congregations. We wish an Eid Mubarak to all our Muslim neighbors and members. Our final candle of joy is from Gail Jens. This is a candle in celebration of Alma Antonianati, Alma, who was born 75 years ago on May 19th. She is my soulmate, and I cannot imagine life without her and her kindness, generosity, wisdom, and feistiness. We hope to celebrate with our church family in the church building where we met and married. But as we recently discovered, Our church and family have now grown way beyond any walls. Our thanks and love to all of you.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be your living sanctuary for you. Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be your living sanctuary for you.
For all the sorrows and all the joys we hold in our hearts, we light a silent candle to remember and to rejoice. May the peace of our sanctuary enter into our hearts as we share a quiet moment together, breathing our prayers for ourselves, for one another, for our country, and for the world. Amen. Let's join now in saying together the affirmation and covenant of this beloved spiritual community. The words are printed in your order of service and in the chat. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is our gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to speak our truths in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de nuestra congregación, y servicio es nuestro regalo. Esto es a lo que nos comprometemos, convivir en paz, hablar nuestras verdades con amor y ayudarnos los unos a los otros.
Good morning, everyone. Greetings from the past of 24 hours ago. I'm happy to share with you this morning a beautiful hymn, Sing Out Praises for the Journey, which I think everybody will connect with the lyrics right now in this extremely strange moment. And also hopefully with the music, because it's a beautiful chorale written by the great English composer Henry Purcell, who is one of my personal favorites. Hope you enjoy. Sing out praises for the journey, pilgrims we who carry on, searchers in the soul's deep yearnings, like our forebears in their time. We seek out the Spirit's wholeness in the endless human quest. Look inside your souls, the kindling of the heart the pilgrims knew. Find the Spirit always restless, find it in each mind and heart. Touch and hold that ancient yearning, kindling for a new found truth. Stand we now
futures yet unknown, hath behind us wayside hostel, built by those who knew wild roads. God, we ere their sacred embers carried in our minds and hearts.
A college graduate asks a simple and profound question. Now what? This is on the incredible YouTube show, Some Good News, with John Krasinski of The Office. He's hosting a star-studded, homegrown virtual graduation ceremony for the class of 2020. Since so many in-person graduation ceremonies are canceled due to the pandemic, John Krasinski invited a number of graduates, valedictorians, and class speakers to join him on Zoom. Their surprise commencement speakers are top-tier celebrities like Steven Spielberg and Oprah Winfrey and Malala Yousafzai, and the graduates get to ask them a question. It's comedian Jon Stewart's answer that hits me the most. So this college graduate, also named John, asks Stewart, "Now what?" "Now what?" Stewart replies, "Well, let me tell you, that is the question." Stewart's answer was, "You're about to enter into a world where no one is grading you. Stop completing things and start living them." Upon hearing that response, I let out a startled, "Hoo boy," that startled my sleeping kitten. While Jon Stewart's response was poignant advice for a college graduate finishing up formal schooling, it's a piece of wisdom I know I can take to heart. During this time of pandemic, whether our daily lives look like overwhelming work as a frontline or essential worker, or whether we're under a quarantine lockdown or some other reality in which we find our daily lives radically altered, are we just completing our days, or are we living them? To be clear, the first priority of this pandemic is survival for us and for our neighbors. When we're ready, could the second priority be living? After the initial flurry and frenzy of the pandemic lockdown, many of us began to settle into a new rhythm of our days. A lot of the conversation was about waiting out this period of restrictions, waiting until things get back to normal. Leaving aside for a moment the question of back to normal, focusing on the waiting can look a lot like killing time. I invite us to move away from counting the days, completing each day like a tally mark on the wall. As the author Annie Dillard puts it, how we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives. This is it. This is the life that we have been given. What would it look like for us to live more fully into each day? It can even be a small internal shift. Putting down my phone when I'm not actually enjoying the game that I'm compulsively playing. Turning off Netflix when it starts auto-playing the next episode. Making a conscious choice to do something that feels like living. Remembering that this is my one wild and precious life. This week, That looked for me like noticing how gorgeous the sun was on the leaves. I had already put on my shoes, mask, and jacket to bring in the trash cans, and it was so lovely and fresh outside that I just kept walking. I ended up at a nearby park just noticing, feeling alive. I thought of this poem from UU minister Mark Bellatini, which goes in part. Let the sky above me unroll like a scroll, and let me read upon it today's text for my life. You are alive, here and now. Love boldly and always tell the truth. Let the wind arrange the naked branches of the maples and the aspens and oaks into letters which proclaim this sacred text. Your heart beats now, not tomorrow or yesterday. Love the gift of your life and do no harm. Let the eyes and hands and faces of all people with whom I share this earth be chapter and verse in this great scripture text. Life is struggle and loss, and also tenderness and joy. Live all of your life, not just part of it. We are alive, here and now. Let's live all of our lives, not just part of it. The first priority is survival. Can the second be living? It might look like a conscious choice not to put off something, to find a way to live your life fully, even if the circumstances make it seem very different than you'd pictured. Maybe it's finding ways to work for justice that still also keep you safe. Phone banking for candidates you care about, or participating in a car rally at an immigration detention center. Maybe it's pursuing a passion project, art or music or coding that you've always wanted to try. Maybe it looks like making a life choice. A couple that I'm working with has their wedding coming up in a few weeks. They had thought long and hard about whether to postpone, knowing that the ceremony and reception they'd planned would look drastically different than they'd imagined. They made the decision to have the ceremony in their living room, just the three of us and a live stream to their family. I am so moved by their rationale. They told me that if they were having a wedding so they could promise to stick together through good times and bad, then this is exactly the time for them to be married. This is the time we are given. How do we want to live it? Jewish Buddhist teacher Sylvia Boorstein wrote, "The core challenge in my life, in all our lives from beginning to end, is accommodating to the realities that we wish were other and doing it with grace." I'll share one more story that is such a beautiful illustration of this teaching. It's from a friend who asked that I change her name, so I'll call her Emily. When we went into lockdown in mid-March, Emily had been seeing somebody for 4 months. They had just committed to each other exclusively, signed up for an 8-week class together, and planned a weekend away. We hadn't gotten to the L word, says Emily, but it was all pretty swoony and great. She goes on about her sweetheart saying, "He was kind and funny, and we had a ton of fun together. He shared custody of his 2 teenage sons I hadn't met yet. And so when shelter-in-place orders went into effect, we decided to shelter separately. We chatted the next day about how everything was going and made a plan to check in soon. And that was the last time I heard from him." I called, texted, waited for a reply back, emailed, Googled obit notices for his elderly family members, Googled accident reports for him or his boys, called, texted, rinse, repeat. I waited to hear, waited to understand, waited to learn if he was dead or if I should be preparing to kill him. After 3 weeks of waiting, Emily told some girlfriends that she was giving him 1 more week and that was it. One friend said, "Could you just let it go now? Is that an option?" She realized that letting go of the waiting meant that she would need to start the grieving. The longer I waited, she said, the longer I could still be in this pretty swoony, pretty great relationship with plans for a weekend away. Waiting was connection to a version of a life that I liked and wanted, but it was a version of life that was no longer true. Emily continues, "So I worked on letting go of that version of life, shifted from waiting to grieving. A choice I made mainly because grieving seemed to be a more finite process. I could grieve and then start living again. Whereas waiting, if the last 3 weeks were predictive, didn't seem to have an end. In the grieving, I let go of waiting to hear and also let go of waiting to understand, waiting to know why. I decided that he just wasn't that into me, which was actually very liberating. It meant I didn't need to give his absence any more thought. I could stop waiting for things to be different than they were, grieve the loss of a version of life that I liked and my expectations for the future, and start living again in a newly liberated way. Being grateful that I wasn't in quarantine with someone who secretly wasn't that into me. Grateful that I had learned early on about his change of heart and that the only rinse and repeat needed was the one to wash that man right out of my hair. Aside from being inspired by how resilient Emily is, I'm also struck by this one sentence. She was willing to grieve the loss of her expectations for the future and start living again in a newly liberated way. There's a lot to grieve right now. And also, our hearts beat now, not tomorrow or yesterday. Liberation might look a lot like choosing in any given moment to live the lives we have been given as fully as possible. So I invite you to take a moment to reflect. Think about this past week. When were the moments when you felt alive? When you felt present to your life or made a conscious choice to make the best of realities that you wish were otherwise? What would it look like to create more of those moments? Or is there something else that calls you? We'll take a few quiet moments now. You can reflect on your own or share in the chat. What would a life well lived look like for you right now? My beloveds, I close with these words from Gwen Matthews. Feel that? We are living, breathing, connected. We are the whole, complete, beautiful selves that we were born to be. Feel that in your bones, in your muscles, in your heart and your blood. That is the extraordinary you. The you who was born for this moment, this time, this place. Feel that? The struggle, the worry, the pain, the loss, the grief, it is still you. You are still whole, complete, beautiful, extraordinary. Feel that. So may it be. And amen.
Hi everyone. We're going to sing Better Days by Pat Humphries and Sandy O, Emma's Revolution. And this has a really easy part that you can sing along with. During the verse, there's a repeated, I sing a line and then everyone sings, in the light, in the light. So it repeats in the light, and then in the second verse it does the same thing but in the dark. And then finally, third verse, we begin. You can sing along to all the words, there's a chorus, but that's the simplest part to grasp onto. It's a really great song, we enjoy playing it, and I hope you'll enjoy it as well. Here we go. 2, 3. We have come in the light to this place, in the light with our hearts, in the light open wide. We are here in the light, giving voice, in the light to the truth, in the light we divine. Let us sing for today. Let us learn better ways, showing love in the light, giving hope in the light we create, in the light better days. We are born in the dark, we are fed in the dark, we connect in the dark through the veil. We are held in the dark, we are healed in the dark, mysteries in the dark we reveal. Let us sing, let us sing for today. Let us learn better ways, showing love in the dark, giving hope in the dark we create, in the dark better days. Time is now, we begin where we are. We begin, we have all. We begin that we need to renew for today. Let us learn better ways, showing love. We begin giving hope. We begin to create. We begin better days. Let us sing. Let us sing for today, and let us learn better ways, showing love. We begin giving hope. We begin, we create. We begin better days.
Each of us has the power to make a difference, to do our part to strengthen the safety net that holds us all. Your generous enthusiasm and support for everything Arlington Street Church is doing to uplift and uphold us, keeping us strong and connected, is deeply appreciated. All of us opening our virtual wallets and giving our hearts continues to make it possible for us to thrive in these difficult days. Each week, the generosity of this beloved spiritual community never ceases to amaze us. We know these times are hard and are affecting each of us differently. As we continue to live through this pandemic, we are reminded that community is a place to hold each other when we can and be held by each other when we need support. If this is a time when you can give, please take a moment now to text the word give, G-I-V-E, to 617-300-0509. Scan the QR code in the order of service or click on the yellow donate button at the bottom right of the homepage at ascboston.org. Here's that number again, 617-300-0509. Thank you for your generosity. After you make your gift to sustain our beloved community, please continue to share in the chat what inspires you during these difficult days.
Climb every mountain, search high and low, follow every
The opening of our pledge drive last Sunday, our covenant renewal Sunday, was wildly successful. As of week's end, we have pledged $233,589. Thank you. It's a truly extraordinary beginning, and we have more to raise to fund all the initiatives to make this the beloved spiritual community we dream, a hub for progressive values and spiritual transformation. If you haven't had a chance to pledge to fiscal year 2021, which begins on July 1st, please download a pledge form from the homepage at ascboston.org. Thank you for your wild generosity. And let's say thank you again to our amazing covenant renewal team: Al Ingram, Art Nava, Reverend Beth, Dawn Belamo, Reverend Kim, Liz Texera, Lois Hartso, Mary Gillock, Philip Roberts, and Connie Scallion. Thank you, thank you. There continue to be many great events this week, times when we can continue to stay deeply connected while being physically apart. A full line of this week's events can be found at ascboston.org. Some highlights from our list include Monday Metta with Reverend Kim at 12 p.m., with Poems to Go on Monday at 4. Buddha's Belly meets on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Weekly tea time with Reverend Kim and Reverend Beth continues on Wednesdays at 4. Arlington Street Writes Writing Group on Thursday at 1. You can find more events and fuller descriptions at ascboston.org. Whether you have been coming to Arlington Street Church for decades or today is your first service, you are welcome at any of our gatherings. At the close of today's service, during virtual coffee hour, an invitation will appear on your screen inviting you to join a breakout room. This is an opportunity to really visit with each other in a smaller, quieter setting. If you click yes, you'll automatically find yourself there. We look forward to seeing you here next Sunday morning. Remember, my friends, love is the spirit of this congregation, and we're all in this together.
Our final hymn today is number 118, This Little Light of Mine. I'll call out the verses as we go. I hope you'll sing along with us. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, oh, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All through I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. 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 One more time. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
For our benediction, I invite you to put your hands over your heart. Time is now. We begin where we are. We begin. We have all. We begin that we need to renew. We begin to release. We begin to rebuild. We begin to believe. Let us sing for today. Let us learn better ways, showing love. We begin giving hope. We begin, we create. We begin better days. Let us keep this faith and pass it on. The service begins when the service ends. Amen.
Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine.
Please visit ascboston.org for more information about this historic Unitarian Universalist congregation. Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace.